Welcome to Green TV, the show dedicated to positive Green New Deal solutions and the campaigns and candidates that advocate for them. I'm Janet Murphy. Green TV represents truths nobody else will tell, and today shows some of those truths and gives you more food for thought. Green TV is about Green New Deal eco-jobs for the economy. New jobs, positive solutions. Eco-capitalism prices must tell the environmental truth. Green TV is about the green industrial revolution, solar jobs, wind jobs, geothermal jobs, rail jobs, weatherization jobs, conservation jobs, efficiency jobs. Green TV is about building green neighborhoods, walkable, bikeable, pedestrian and rail-friendly communities, having cleaner air and cleaner water, cutting taxpayer subsidies to zero for fossil fuel, big oil, and big auto. Green TV is about renewable energy, free energy, clean energy. Renewable energy can power rail. Rail built anywhere in America benefits all of America. Rail can move people, the economy, and the nation forward. Today we have with us Mark Rakhmilevich. Hi, Mark.
Hi.
How are you today?
Doing well. How are you?
Thank you. Great.
Great.
We had some topics to discuss.
Yeah.
And I know you're quite committed to promoting solar energy and clean energy. So I want you to give us some further ideas about why it's important to use solar energy or go solar, as they say.
Well, solar is our future, and I think that as a millennial speaking, it's also our largest opportunity. More jobs are being created worldwide in the solar and wind energy industries currently than any other industry. And so just as our economy shifts towards a more sustainable green economy, we need to move ourselves in that direction as well now. Also to obviously combat climate change, reduce our greenhouse gas emissions, and become more innovative and industrious society as well.
That's true. I have been a big fan of good ideas, and one good idea that seems to have taken hold is the idea of having renewable energy portfolio standards in the different states, and also renewable, what's that?
RPS?
No, the SRECs, Solar Renewable Energy Credits. Can you tell us how those work?
Well, sure. So in the District of Columbia, the SREC market it's a market incentive to encourage investment in solar specifically. So there's a certain price per megawatt project. The market teeters up and down, but currently might be about $400 per megawatt. And so when you have a solar project and it produces energy, it's calculated at the end of each month, and once you do hit a certain amount of megabytes of energy produced, you can sell that back to utility companies here in the district who are mandated by the Renewable Portfolio Standard legislation to have a certain amount of their energy production be strictly from renewable sources. So that's why, you know, average residential owners and commercial businesses really think that the SREC market in DC is really a bright spot.
Okay, good. So not only does the household get to pretty much use the energy that they're producing, so they don't have to buy that energy right then from Exelon, but they can also keep adding it up, and their net metering report will show that they produce so many kilowatts of energy, and they can cash that in for money.
It's a free market. It's a market, and that's the system that's so beneficial. Actually, if you were to invest in solar for your own home, of course, if you have maybe a household of 4, you could be looking at a bill of maybe $25,000 over maybe about 10 years, and so you could loan it out. But really, if you do the math, you're actually making a net profit each month if you were even to finance a solar system, because the SREC market itself is really what's making all of your income. if you're given a very efficient solar system setup that's producing all of your energy needs, yes, it's going to make it very feasible and affordable for you to invest in solar.
Yes. I remember in DC when there was a little loophole found in the SREC market where the power company was obliged to get credits, buy them from somewhere. And instead of buying them from people that lived in DC, they were allowed to go outside of the geographical area. And the city council decided to not allow that. And they protected that SREC market in DC and made it strong. So there's been a lot of good work that they've done in Washington, DC, as far as being out in front on solar. Rooftop solar, Anya Schoolman and the Solar United Neighborhoods, and the energy department down at the DC government has done a great job.
Absolutely.
Would you say that there's been more good ideas in the area of financial models for promoting photovoltaic development in, for instance, rural Africa? Are there any good ideas?
Yeah, so that's a really great point. I just read a recent Guardian article saying that there's a new initiative, and it's called Energize Africa. And so this is an initiative by two main groups, Ethics and Virgin Unite, which is Richard Branson's nonprofit arm of Virgin Airlines. So both of these two together form Energize Africa, which is an initiative to encourage investment in solar in sub-Saharan Africa, where unfortunately 700 or so million people are without electricity, period. So what this model would be doing is give you a 4 to 6% return on your investment and prioritize any repayments that would be lost if you were to invest in this initiative. It would give you a very good opportunity to help a lot of in-need folks in Africa, and that's really this exciting news of what's happening in the UK currently.
That's great. So Richard Branson shows up from time to time on the Shark Tank, and I'm sure he has a lot of good ideas. And there's another famous inventor and idea person, Elon Musk.
Yeah.
And he has been behind a lot of initiatives having to do with electric cars and battery storage for solar household systems. He's doing a lot of work in that. I would like to ask you if there's an example of some work being done locally to make solar more accessible to John Q. Public.
Yeah, sure.
And Jane.
There's a few groups that I've been excited to go to various events with. DC Sun, or Solar United Neighbors, as they're now called, had a kickoff, and yes, so that was Anya Schoolman's group. And other than that, though, there's Ipson Power, held amazing events. One of the great companies working to install more and more rooftop solar on residential and commercial buildings. But also Neighborhood Sun, and they're doing a launch effort in the near future to continue doing outreach on community solar, which I personally believe is one of the most exciting ways of financing solar. Basically, because if you're just an average person who, for whatever reason, might not be able to install solar on your own rooftop, let's say you're renting and your landlord doesn't approve it, or for whatever reason it's just not feasible for you to do on your own household, you can basically rent a plot of solar, and all the energy that's produced by all the various subscribers who hold a plot of the solar farm, that's going back into your own electricity bill. And so it's helping you get your energy needs from a responsible and sustainable way through solar. But also it's meeting all of your energy needs, and it's becoming more and more affordable as it gains traction here, as subscribers sign on and there's plans built and projects announced.
So there's now a thing called community solar farms, like a community garden almost?
Yeah, and that there has been for some time. It's just, it does require an opt-in contract, typically for maybe 10 to 20 years. you'll need to subscribe to an organization. Of course, you may have to move, but that contract can still go with you in many cases, and you'll still be eligible to receive all of your energy needs from solar.
That's fantastic, because it was a bit discouraging to hear that the rooftop solar leased systems were not as successful lately as they had been. And some people were kind of sad about that.
Yeah.
But this is the same idea, only better, really. It serves those people who really can't afford to put their own solar system on their own house, or they rent.
And the other thing is, so we've also in DC been focusing our energy on expanding access to solar for even lower income residents. The Solar for All program, which has been in the works in DC, has been really instrumental in providing that for lower income households. And we've been making outstanding progress, and the DOE is continuing to expand solar access for all in DC to continue to meet our RPS goal of 5%, which we're still maybe around 1.5%. We still have a ways to go in getting us to our goal of 5% by 2032, I believe.
I thought it was 50%.
That would be just renewable energy, but solar specifically,
really?
we need to have of our needs or energy being produced strictly from solar sources is about 5%.
What are the other types of renewable energy that qualify for, I hope it's not nuclear, is it?
So we also, of course, could go with wind energy. In my case, I'm actually I work under Clean Choice Energy, meaning our household, we have a contract with them, and so actually our household plan is 99% wind, 1% solar. So of course wind would be the other option. When you have a wind farm already developed, that's really your most affordable way of getting your energy needs in many cases. But that, geothermal, biomass sometimes is questionable, but that's another option if you're looking for a sustainable source, as long as it's carbon neutral. But yeah, solar is really what I'm most excited about and what I think is our best opportunity here in DC and abroad.
Okay. We both are going to be looking forward to the Environmental Film Festival starting in March here in Washington. March 15th, the Environmental Film Festival is amazing. Free films at embassies and colleges. American University has a great environmental film program, and they host a lot of films there. And so I wanted to thank you again, Mark Rakhmilevich.
Thank you.
For coming to be with us on Green TV. Thank you very much from Green TV for joining us today.
We built society on this assumption of climate stability, and that stability is changing. All these things we take for granted, they're not just givens anymore.
The just released report from the Pentagon, climate change and the challenges it's creating for the military.
The latest report says global warming is driving weather to new levels of extremes.
99% of my intelligence told me there's an ambush waiting for me. I don't get to say, yeah, but there's that 1% that says there's no ambush, so the hell with the other 99%.
As a member of the United States military and 30-plus years of service in uniform, climate change is what we call an accelerant to instability.
If you have an area that is already unstable and then has the additional challenge of water shortages or food shortages or a disaster that makes people move, then you can start seeing conflict situations.
Syria's deadly conflict, a full-blown civil war.
If we look around the world today, we can already see conflict and climate in play right under the headlines that we're reading.
A new study finds climate change exacerbated the worst drought ever in modern Syria as a consequence of human interference.
Fragile social systems just need one more shock to tip them over the edge into social breakdown, into war.
Failure to think about how climate change might impact our globally interconnected system is a failure of imagination.
The flip side of the climate threat is the energy and resilience opportunity.
As a soldier, we're always looking to have an edge on the future. We can pay now, pay later.
This story isn't about taking sides. It's about our economy and our future. The fact is, air pollution isn't free. Left unchecked, it will cause unprecedented global damage. But in many countries, carbon emitters pump greenhouse gas emissions into the atmosphere at no cost. The bill for the damage comes to all of us in the form of threats to public health, food and water shortages, storm damage, and overall uncertainty in the marketplace. This is unsustainable. But addressing this issue creates opportunity. When polluting has a price, efficiency and innovation are rewarded. Whether we tax it, set up emissions trading systems, or regulate it, carbon pricing is good for business and good for people. We save money by maximizing energy efficiency. We spur innovation in renewable energy, manufacturing, and transportation. We build smart, livable cities, and we create jobs. Businesses, cities, states, and countries are already putting these solutions to work. By implementing a carbon tax, British Columbia reduced emissions and cut taxes for its citizens. Morocco set a renewable energy target and reduced its energy subsidies. As a result, its renewable energy investment grew sixfold, enabling Morocco to become an innovation hub for solar power. California expects to collect billions from emissions permit fees, which will then be invested in clean energy and low-carbon development. And China is testing 7 emissions trading systems locally, with the intention to expand nationally. Since 2005, carbon markets have expanded across the world. Momentum for meaningful carbon pricing is growing. Now we need businesses and governments to lead together. For our health, our economy, and our future. Join us.
Plastic is wonderful because it's durable, and plastic is terrible because it is durable. Almost every piece of plastic ever made is still on the planet in some form or another. Plastic production globally this year is expected to be more than 300 million tonnes.
Half of which we'll use just once and then throw away. By 2050, when the population explodes to almost 10 billion people, it's expected that plastic production will triple. The problem with that is that today only a fraction of the plastic that we produce is recycled. The rest ends up in our environment, and it's coating our land and our oceans like a disease.
Garbage thrown away in the United States can make its way to Antarctica. Plastic in our coastal waters is pulled into the centre of massive wind-driven, churning circular gyres. There are many other ocean currents also diverting the trash all around the surface of the ocean. In reality, it's just one ocean with no boundaries. Lord Howe Island is a World Heritage Site and home to migratory seabirds like the shearwater.
Seabirds are incredibly helpful because they act like an army of scientists. They travel thousands of miles across the ocean. They pick up plastic off the surface of the ocean. They bring it back to their rookeries where they feed it to their chicks, and that provides an incredible amount of scientific data in terms of where the plastic comes from, its distribution, and how it breaks up on the ocean surface. Dr. Jennifer Lavers, she'd devoted her life to studying the plight of seabirds. Shearwaters are incredible birds. They migrate thousands of miles, stopping only here to breed.
Yeah, the stomach is very, very full, and if we look here, there's some very dark pieces, some very light white pieces, and if you see, you know, as I push on this, it's absolutely rigid, completely full of plastic all the way up.
Oh, look at that.
Absolutely no doubt that this bird died as a result of that plastic. That is literally a gut full of plastic. It's quite alarming, isn't it?
Oh, that's awful.
Range of plastic types and colours. We've got everything from the blues and the reds
His
to the
stomach's just filled with it. Big pieces too.
big
Like
sharp
heavy.
pieces.
Oh wow, look at the size of that big black piece.
That is an enormous piece of plastic.
Unbelievable. Look at the size of that. Jen, I counted 234 pieces of plastic out of that one bird. Is that a record?
Not even close, unfortunately. So for the species, the record is 276 pieces of plastic inside of one 90-day-old chick. And that plastic, when we weighed it out, accounted for 15% of that bird's body mass. So that's a pretty scary statistic. If we translate that into human terms, it gets even worse. That would be equivalent to you and I having somewhere around 6 or 8 kilos of plastic inside of your stomach. It's equivalent to about 12 pizzas worth of food inside of your stomach. It's quite a bit of plastic for just one little bird. The parents were trying to do the right thing. There's a lot of squid beaks in here, and this purple colour is evidence of the squid ink. It's just a shame that every now and then they got it wrong, and got it wrong in a bad way. Really is quite an overwhelming thing. I do have some pretty rough days, have to go home and really wrap my mind around where do we go from here.
As a Pacific Islander, I know that the ocean is in deep trouble. The very authoritative prediction shows that by the year 2050, there'll be as much plastic as there is fish in the ocean by weight. Every country uses plastic. We need to start rationalizing that. We need to think about reuse of plastic, single-use plastic. It's got to be on its way out. And you know, plastic shopping bags are a good example of that. Your family does not need to use them. Take a cloth bag with you when you go shopping and put your shopping in there. There's an equivalent of a large garbage truck every minute of every day backing up to the ocean and just dumping plastic into it. We really have to look at ourselves and say, do we deserve this beautiful ocean that was given to us?
Where is Kauai? Here is Kauai. How is it the future of energy?
Batteries.
Batteries.
Batteries. Batteries.
Batteries?
Strategically placed batteries.
Also sheep.
They like the grass, they can get way underneath the panels. It works well.
Back to the batteries. In roughly 10 years, Kauai has gone from 6% to 42% renewable energy. Here's how it works. In the morning, Kauaians wake up, they make breakfast, take showers, head to work. There's not enough sun yet, so the island relies on diesel. By noon, though, solar panels help provide up to 97% renewable energy. Then, traditionally, it would be back to diesel at night. But here's where batteries come in. Big batteries, the size of refrigerators, batteries made by Tesla. The more the island installs, the less fuel it burns in the morning and evening hours.
We're going to do more projects. We have one already signed with AES. It's going to be about twice the size of this project.
Kauai's not the only place going big on batteries. 2017 is expected to be a record year for adding battery storage. What is unique about Kauai is how fast they've done it. Few places in the US rely on so much renewable power all on one grid. Take it from this guy. This is Luke Evslin and his family. They live sustainably. Chickens, ducks, yurt, taro, personal solar panels, the whole deal. A few years back, Luke was in a serious boating accident and almost lost his life.
That accident for me changed everything about my life. Both my wife and I at that point sort of made a commitment to try and live in a more sustainable manner and resilient manner. We had this utopian idea of living on an acre of land and growing all of our food to try and be an inspiration for other people to go off grid, and then this realization that if everybody went off grid, it would be just totally terrible. 90% of the days my batteries are topped off in the middle of the day, and then almost 100% of what I'm producing is completely wasted. Whereas if I was on grid, that would be getting fed back into my neighbors. If I want our island to get to 100% renewable energy, then I got to be part of the system. I can't do it from here.
Here in Kauai is the perfect place to build a modern, renewable powered grid. There's lots of sun, fossil fuels are expensive, and an island can't rely on neighboring communities, because it's an island.
So that alone automatically ties us into this whole sustainable movement.
This is the mayor of Kauai.
Bernard Patrick Carvalho Jr., don't forget the junior.
He's a former Miami Dolphin and likes to use sports metaphors.
We're on the 10-yard line looking in, you better pass that ordinance or pass that policy because climate change is coming. And a field goal is unacceptable, by the way, only the touchdown here.
So Kauai is going for a touchdown.
70% of the entire island's energy use is our target by 2030, and we think we'll be there way sooner.
Sometimes the little speck has the determination to take a vision and work out all the details, and then take your footprint and you take it to the next level.
To sum up, sun, batteries, the future's in the grid, score touchdowns, little speck, big lessons, paradise.
Renewable energy is free energy, clean energy. Rail is safer and can run on renewable energy. We need more trains, less traffic. Rail built anywhere in America benefits all of America. That's it for today's Green TV. I'm Janet Murphy with Mark Rakhmilevich. Please join us again next time for Green TV.